Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend and hope that you are enjoying the sunshine. We had a nice weekend. It's going to be a little cold today. We had the job fair here Saturday in the Memphis office. There was a great attendance. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to get, I may not be able to do what I thought I could do. If I've got it muted, why is it giving me a problem? Just a second. I know. Got it. Okay. Uh, so we had a good number here. I think we had three agents who transferred Saturday, and there are a few of those supposed to come back this week and transfer. I thought the people who worked it, Elaine Mohammed, Olena Keene, George Roser, Brenda Allen, and then Carla Faye Torkelson was in from Phoenix, or from Nashville, sorry. And I thought they did a good job presenting at their tables. It's the first time we've ever done that, and I think we learned a lot from it. And we will. I plan to have one in the Olive Branch office the middle of February, which would be Saturday the 16th. We'll have an open house and job fair. Of course, that depends on us getting in the Olive Branch office. That should be finished Wednesday or Thursday of this week, but we certainly think no later than February the 1st will be moved in that space, the new space there at Shops at Windstone. So, plan for that. We'll have more details coming out later about the job fair, and it will even be better than what we did here because we certainly learned from it, and I think it's going to be. I think it will be a great thing. I don't know why you people in Mississippi are so strange. I mean, you've got a problem coming across that line, coming up here to Memphis, but whatever works for you. Okay, we next Monday morning, uh, if I've got the guy scheduled, we're going to go over the medical resources that we have. You'll be able to ask on the. We've got two different sides of this medical resources for you. One is on the concierge medical service, where you can subscribe to this service for $75 a month, and you can go to their clinic in the 5500 block of Poplar and see a doctor. They're open at 8 to 8, 7 days a week, and they're you don't have to have an appointment. Their time frame to see a doctor is 20 minutes. So you'll be able to go as many times a month as you want to go. If you need some of the advanced services like blood workup or x-ray or whatever, they're going to give us a 30% discount on those. Plus, he has a drug card for those of you who are on drugs. He has a drug card where you can get a really impressive discount with the drug card. So that'll be 75 a month. Then the hospitalization side of it will be a policy through that's written through Blue Cross by TRH, which is a division of Farm Bureau. And I'm sorry I didn't have that material here Saturday. They had it ready for me to pick up, and I'd asked somebody to do that, and they forgot. So it is what it is. Um, Okay, let's talk a minute about foreclosures. I just think this is interesting. This has been a weak year compared to the previous years for foreclosures, but Realty Track has published this information. Of course, they follow this data closely. They think we'll see increases in 2013. Now, there are also concerns by some analysts that the bottoming out sense that we have about the market and the price firming up and even increasing a bit in some markets. Some analysts think this is driven by investor demand, and when investor demand weakens, they're not confident that we bottomed. I tend to think we probably have. Remember, markets trade off of a psychology or a mindset. If you wake up today and think you're rich, you'll go spend money. If you wake up today and think you're poor, you're going to stay inside and probably not spend money. Now, some of us probably go spend regardless, but um, but the point is, markets move off of a mindset. And I think most people have a stronger feeling about housing now than what they have in the last 5 years. But I just wanted to point this out to you. I think it's an interesting article. I've got the link in the webinar outline. And by the way, I now have figured out how I can upload that to YouTube. I will email you afterwards the link where you can go back and watch it there and see the documents that I go through as well. Okay, now I have captured a title today for the name of this webinar, and the quote I used, "Tell them the dream," Martin. Now, if you know where to raise your hand on here, if you know who did that and you didn't Google it or anything to find it, raise your hand if you know where that came from. Anybody? Going once, twice? Okay. If you don't know who the quote is from, then you wouldn't know the setting either. But I want to acquaint you with that. It's a very interesting part of the story of "I Have a Dream," Dr. Martin Luther King. Mahalia Jackson is the source of that quote, and I heard this a few days ago, and it just totally threw me because I was not aware of this detail. But she was asked by Dr. King to be a soloist that spoke before that sang before he spoke at the Lincoln Memorial when they had the March on Washington. There were some 250,000 people there. And so she sang, he asked her to sing this old gospel tune, "I've been buked and I've been scorned." Now, I put the link to that in the bottom of the outline that we used a minute ago. So you'll be able to go to that link from YouTube and listen to that old gospel tune if you want. But I don't know how many of you would know her work, Mahalia Jackson. But I remember as a kid, we used to watch her. She was a soloist often on the Billy Graham crusades. I think she's from New Orleans or Southern Louisiana somewhere. And she is an interesting uh, I thought she was an amazing singer, just a natural gifted singer. And she really sang with every fiber of her being. You could feel what she sang. And I had not heard this tune, "I've Been Buked and I've Been Scorned," but it's kind of a mournful, reflective sort of situation about life and how life can come at you in the wrong way. But anyhow, she was there, she sang, and then he stood up to give his speech. Now, what I want to point out to you is in this speech, he was reading his speech, and so apparently his speech that he had written and that he was delivering wasn't really connecting and impacting the crowd. And in the background, Mahalia Jackson said this, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." And it is interesting to me that on that cue, he immediately switched from his prepared remarks and then off the cuff, and of course, he was a great orator. He went into this dream, and it started with this historic section that famously begins, "And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream." It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. Now, the reason that impacts me so much, number one, it's his birthday was yesterday, and the holidays today, and I cannot tell you that I, as a white man who was born in the South, that I really understand all the emotions many of you have because you've lived through things and you understand from a cultural aspect a lot more than what I would ever have the benefit of understanding. But I do think whether it's in the position he had as trying to move a culture forward and to move to acceptance of a whole race of people into the culture, uh, that was a heavy burden for him to take. Not many of us would have had what it takes to do that and risk what he risked, even his life, and lived under those threats for years. I was raised in a family. I don't know if any of you, and I mean no offense by sharing my background with you, but my dad was a Baptist preacher in the state of Arkansas. And he was actually a member of the White Citizens Council. And you may not have a reference on what that's about. That's a step above the KKK. So that's the sort of culture I was raised in, narrow in its perspective. And until a few years ago, I was living in Vegas, and there was a couple there that I did some music gigs with, and she was a one of the finest sopranos that I've ever run across. Her name was Marion Burns, and we were talking before Dr. King's birthday one year, and the congregation where I attended, they had a tradition of singing "We Shall Overcome" with the grand pipe organ, and I told the people that I was familiar with there in the music, I said, I think that's an offense to most people. Number one, you don't have a clue how to sing it, the feeling involved, and everything else. And so I asked Marion, I said, you know, your background, your culture, is this offensive? She said, no, it wasn't offensive necessarily. And I didn't have a reason or an understanding to celebrate Dr. King's birthday, but she told me when she went to St. Louis University, and in the summertime she would go to Mississippi to get people registered to vote. This was back in the day, the tough times, and she worked alongside Dr. King. Now, listen, this lady that I had come to respect, we shared meals together and family times together. Uh, she sat there and talked to me about those life experiences with tears in her eyes. Now, I can just tell you, folks, if you know someone that you've learned to respect and you have a friendship or a bond, and you find out they've gone through something like that experience, it gives you a whole different perspective on what it's all about. I'll never forget that when she shared that with me and teared up. Well, she cried actually about those memories and what it meant to her and her individual growth as a human being. I had an occasion years ago, in fact, here in Memphis. Saul Kirshner and his wife used to own the Midas Muffler franchise here, and I was a jewelry rep, and they had a jewelry shop on Brookhaven Circle, and I can't think of her name, but anyhow, I came over here and brought my line over here to work a something that was happening at the synagogue. This was down when it was down at McLean and Jackson in that area, and during that time, she shared with me how her father had been imprisoned at the Auschwitz, uh, and what he had gone through because of being Jewish. Uh, and again, I mean, I had never met anybody who had family or had an awareness of an experience like that. And I'll never forget that. It certainly impacted me. Now, what does that have to do with us? Here we have Mahalia Jackson, gospel singer. She had a friend. And listen, she had enough sensitivity that she understood he wasn't reaching that crowd like he needed to reach them. And that's why she said in the background, tell them the dream, Martin. She knew his dream would have a great impact on people. Now, let me tell you the power of a dream. If you use those words, hear those words, recite the words, I have a dream. There's power in those words. Just think back at that point in history when he was giving that speech. If he had not changed courses, would we know him as well as we do, simply because he listened to somebody sitting behind him, a friend, and he changed his whole script. This thing about a dream is powerful. If you have a dream, share your dream with people. It makes an impact in their life. Now, let me talk to you about this a minute. Has a failure robbed you of your dream? Have you given up? Folks, listen, I have lived a life. I have won, I have lost. I have been up, I have been down. And somebody early on in my life told me, said, a business is kind of like a baseball game. You've got 3 outs, so you strike out one time. You still up to bat, and you got 9 innings. So keep plugging away. Now that's all you can do, because I guarantee you, if you hang around long enough, you're going to have some failures. You're going to miss some stuff. You're going to lose. It's just life. But notice also what Dr. King did. He was listening. He moved, he changed without missing a step. It was natural for him. He had built this natural ability to listen to what was going on around him. He made history with a response in the moment. I think if you look at performers, preachers, orators, comedians, all of them, if they're mature in their skills in front of an audience, they know that you've got to listen to pick up the personality of the audience and see if you're having an impact. And if you're not, you've got to shift gears in a hurry. That day in history, Mahalia Jackson was seated on the platform behind Dr. King, and she was listening herself. She was listening to something beyond herself. We can assume that when he heard her say, "Tell them about the dream, Martin," that this challenge came from a greater voice. If she were like many in our culture, she would have been more worried about her presence, about who was looking at her, about what they thought of her. But instead, she was listening for something greater, and that was the impact of what he was saying. The question to you is, do you ever listen? Whether meditation, quietness, do you ever just become quiet and still and simply listen? If you don't, you're going to miss some important things about your life. Notice another point, the power of forward momentum. And by the way, this is not a sermon with 4 points in a poem. I don't mean for it to come across that way. It's the power of forward momentum. I think Dr. King in his life always was moving forward. There was always another challenge. There was always a steeper hill to climb, and he dared to go for it. I can tell you, in your experiences in life, whatever has broadsided you, whatever has taken you down, you are every man and every woman who has ever experienced the challenge of life. In your pursuit of building a real estate career, you have the same challenges: survival, failure, success, emotions of depression and elation, frustration. Do you dare to dream? Who will be a part of your dream? Now, listen to this important part. Your dream will not likely be about you. It will be about something much bigger than you. Now, I hope you have a little time to think about this. Certainly, those of you who celebrate the day, and maybe many of us don't celebrate it, but we respect what it is in history. I just think it's important. This is life we're living, folks. To win, to lose, to be frustrated, to have success. Listen, some of my early successes, I thought it was because I was good. I thought it would be forever. Wow, did I ever find out different? Now, I've created here a link to the YouTube of Mahalia Jackson singing "I've Been Buked and I've Been Scorned." Sometime when you got some quiet time, you might want to just sit and listen to that, because I think it's very. I like how she handles it, and I like the tunes. Now, anybody else have a comment or question? Now I'm going to try to make a major switch of computers here and play you something that I think. So hold on just 1 second. I think I'll be able to do this. We'll see how skillful I am, okay? I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change presenter. So give me just a second. Hold on. Okay, now.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy.
Okay, hold on. And here we're going. Somebody's got a question. Let me see who's got a question. Okay, now 1 second, and we're going to be ready. Here we go.
You are youth of the noble birthright. You may not at this time know what that means. It means that behind you are great men and women who did wonderful and brave things. They made decisions that were not easy to make, and in many cases they paid a terrible price for those decisions. Some of them even giving their lives rather than forsake the truth they had embraced.
Because my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He's trampling out the cities where the gates of wrath are stored. He is loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is lifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, stand for him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. This is a modern universe. This is a modern universe that light and goodness and compassion and freedom are waiting to prevail. We want to tell the dictators and the oppressors of this world, hey, you have already lost. You have already lost. You have already lost.
true to that great dear, true to the faith our parents have cherished, true to the truth of his martyrdom, true to God's commands that soul by companions, faithful and true he will ever stand.
So we want to keep to the nonviolent approach. We find that there is a vast difference in the attitude of a man with a gun in his hand and that of one without a gun in his hand. When a man doesn't have a gun in his hand, or a woman for the matter, he or she tries harder to use his or her mind.
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have a great day. Have a good day, and I will be sending out a link, and we'll take it from there, okay? Thank you very much.